So the movie in question, I bet we have so many people here, we have people who are familiar with it. It is Vizzini on 42nd Street. This now, so that means we might have to explain what this movie is. Would you like me to take care of that, or do you want to?
Clearly, you know.
I'm a fanboy of this movie and others. I saw this movie so early it was on Laserdisc. And so, if you're familiar with the play Uncle Vanya, okay, so there's this movie that you and a whole bunch of your cohorts made a version of this play where it starts off with just street scenes of early 90s, or late 80s or early 90s?
Right.
Early 90s. New York City, and there's Wallace Shawn who's eating like a bagel or something, and you see just actors who are just sort of like filtering, not just sort of like walking along, and they sort of clump up together in twos and threes and greet each other. And they walk into the absolute wreck of the New Amsterdam Theater as it was in the early 90s, before Disney took it over and actually made it someplace where you didn't have to have literal netting over the ceiling so you wouldn't be killed by falling plaster. And it's just people having conversations saying, oh yeah, we've been rehearsing this play for a long, long time, and oh, is this one of these Ziegfeld Follies in here? And all the actors and their friends are just getting coffee, just mixing and mingling, and shooting the breeze. And I was thinking it was sort of a documentary sort of thing because I didn't read the liner notes. And so again, they're just talking, and two of the people are just sitting next to each other, saying, "Oh boy, isn't it great to be together like this? Yeah, that's great." And then the woman says, "How long have we known each other?" 11 years. And then it takes me 30 seconds to realize I've just heard the first line of the play, and without any grinding of gears, you guys have gone from just actors hanging out to doing the play, and it dumbed me, took a full minute or two to realize that, oh wait, no, okay, they're not talking about acting anymore, they're talking about having an estate, and running the estate. And it's the most magical, one of the most magical experiences I've ever had in the movies. Wonderful.
For, I don't know, $4.95, you can have this experience. I think what do you know? All the Criterion films are on some.
Some of the other movies are on Filmstruck. A Master Builder is on Filmstruck. I started watching that a couple nights ago. Unfortunately, Vanya isn't there, but you can rent it. So if you want to pay people for the work that they have done, if you have a problem with that, unfortunately, you're unplugged.
And I think maybe on Hulu they might have those films. I'm not sure.
But it's amazing. There's a story behind this, isn't there? That for whatever, you guys just started rehearsing Uncle Vanya for years before you made this movie. For what reason? Just for...
Well, you all may have no interest in this, but we're going to tell this story. You may say he's describing something that's about as interesting as his last visit to the dentist. I don't care. I don't know him. But we're going to tell the story. Basically, I work I've basically devoted my life, really, to doing what would be considered weird theater. And I worked with a director called Andre Gregory, who works, he rehearses plays where nobody gets paid, and the ultimate result is to do the play for about 25 people at a time in small rooms, basically. And this is how I've spent a very, very large part of my life. And a Russian writer, Anton Chekhov, wrote a group of plays, but a wonderful one called Uncle Vanya. And it's a play in which not too much happens, but in a way people sit around and complain that nothing is happening. But they do, but then their lives pass, and it gets more and more painful in a way that nothing has happened. It becomes even agonizing, and these are great plays, really. And I got fed up with doing theater in the 80s, and many of you have not done it at all, so you haven't turned against it. But Andre came to me and he said, I want to work on this play, Uncle Vanya, by Chekhov. And I said, I don't really want to do anything in theater. I've had it with theater, I'm sick of it. And he said, well, it won't really be theater. We'll just explore our own lives and ourselves for 8 weeks using this play. We'll work on the play, but really just to learn about ourselves and about life. So he tricked me into that. And he said, I'm getting together a group of people and we're all going to do it. But you have to play the central character, who is a pitiful guy who is in love with the wife of his brother-in-law. And she is a very pretty woman who is married a much, much older man. And I didn't want to play the pitiful guy who is always rejected. I said, I hate that character, and I don't want to do that. But Andre Gregory said, you have to do it.
What did he have on you?
Well, it's a strange question because I've worked with this guy for 40 years now, about 45, always vowing to quit.
Have you been to couples counseling?
Yeah. But the truth is that he's made my life a million times better through these projects that we've done. So anyway, we worked on it, and we did it, maybe rehearsed it, you know, for 8 weeks, and then he said, well, is this goodbye? Or do you want to do this again in another 6 months or something, if everybody can be free? So, okay, we'll work, let's do another 3 weeks.
It's like you want, let's keep the marriage together for the sake of the cast.
Right. Anyway, we eventually, over the course of 4 years, we rehearsed this play, and then, well, maybe over the course of 3 we rehearsed it, and then we dropped it. And we did it for a bunch of people, you know, 15 or 20 or 25. And then we dropped it. Andre's wife had died in the meantime, and one of the actresses had died, and we just thought we'd forget about it. But none of us did forget about it, and about a year later, those of us who were still alive, obviously, we sort of begged to do it some more and maybe make a movie out of it, which we did. Vanya on 42nd Street, only $4.95. I think iTunes or Hulu, or you'll find it out there somewhere. What is the thing you said? The other streaming service of movies?
You got your Google Play, you got your iTunes Store, you got your Amazon. You also got your Vudu, but no one gets the Vudu, so you get the other services. But I confirm that it is available for rental or purchase on pretty much any streaming service that you go for.
So that was, it is a good movie. And it was sort of during the course of doing this that, if you know Julianne Moore, who played the wife of the old professor who I was trying to convince to have a love affair with me, rejected every single rehearsal and performance. But the way we work, we don't do it the same way every time. We do the same words, the same dialogue, but we do it the way we're feeling that day. So every time we did it, I thought maybe she would say yes. And that's really the truth. I did. And the fact that I, in a way, was hostile to the whole thing, added a certain something to it.
Because that really is kind of Vanya. He's the person who just stews and stews and stews until he explodes. And like later on in the play, but he's the person just Mr. Movie. Like I could have been a professor myself. I could have been Solzhenitsyn or something like that. But no, I had to stay home and run the family estate like everybody wanted me to. And you're like, you want him to win because the professor is such a jerk. He's like, oh yes, I might one day write a paper about this, I think. And could all you people stop with the plowing and the bringing of food? I'm trying to think and write it. Like, oh my God.
So, we've spoken a great deal about this film.
Yeah.
We've said it all. Again, please check it out. It really is one of the most magical experiences I've had. And I'm not the kid who was reading like Ibsen plays as a kid. This was probably my first exposure to this, and I was just so gripped by it. And I went from thinking, oh, here's like a sort of like half documentary about here's the process of rehearsal, and we'll see how they work things out. And half hour in, I was ignoring the fact that you're in this incredible death trap of a theater, that you've got pretty much no props, no costumes, and I was just like, maybe she looked dumb before, maybe it would. So it's really wonderful stuff. This is a Q&A session. Of course, as the person who has to sit up here and be stared at by everybody, I do have the ability to ask the first couple questions. However, there is a microphone over there. So before as I'm asking my second question, please form a line over there, and then we'll start the Q&A after we get past question number 2. The other question is there anybody here with disabilities who might have problems getting to the microphone? If so, please let us know. Very good. I'll get to you with a wireless microphone. We want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to ask questions. But let's get back to your little relationship with Andre. Because the first time a lot of people first heard of you was My Dinner with Andre, which was such a popular and interesting film that it almost became its own, like there's Simpsons episodes named after My Dinner with Andre. And it is it correct to say it's just a 2-hour conversation over dinner?
Yes, this is, I think this one is maybe only $3.95. I don't know. But this is a film, My Dinner with Andre. It's basically, I mean, if I tell you this, it's not like good advertising. I should lie. But the truth is, it is basically the story of it. Oh, they were so bored that they had to leave. Oh no, they're not leaving.
I think they want to get to the mic to tell us how much.
Anyway, it is basically about Andre, the real guy, theater director, and me, as I actually was when I was younger, and because I was younger at one time. Basically, the story is that he has called me and said that he's been away for many years doing strange things, and he wants to meet with me, and I'm nervous and think maybe he's gone crazy, and I'm frightened of meeting him, but we do meet, and I learn about the things he's been up to, and you could say that he has not been satisfied with an ordinary bourgeois lifestyle, an ordinary middle-class life, and has tried to find something more meaningful. And I am basically the guy who accepts a bourgeois lifestyle and doesn't understand why somebody would want anything more than that. Now, this is not literally true about me or about him, but the stories and the facts in the discussion are true. So it's got a kind of, but we've, in order to make a movie, exaggerated our differences, you might say. But it's it's an interesting, and it's funny if you have the right sense of humor.
I'll also quote Roger Ebert, who Siskel and Ebert were kind of responsible for putting that movie on the map, because Roger Ebert was a friend of mine, and he was telling me, no, it was our duty in life to make more people see this movie, and nothing made us more happy than we had another opportunity to get this movie to run another month, extending its run. So when he wrote about it again in his The Great Movies column, where he revisits his favorite movies, and such perfect words. He described My Dinner with Andre as a movie entirely devoid of cliches. They said, it should be unwatchable, and yet those who love it return time and time again enchanted. I feel as though it's one of those literally viral movies where if you see it on the rack, you probably are not going to read the description and rent it, but if someone likes it and invites you over and then you see it, it sticks with you, and then you gotta have it.
Thank you.
Again, really great. We're going to start our first question. One last comment, and this goes for here and anywhere you go in Q&As and stuff like that. If you do see young people behind you in line, oftentimes little kids, they don't get to the front of the line and ask questions. Totally up to you, but if you do see ever young people in line, give them the opportunity to get up front because they usually have some cool stuff to say. But yes, tell us who you are and ask your question, please.
Hi, my name is Ron. Hello.
Hi.
I was going to ask about My Dinner with Andre.
We're up there.
What I was going to ask is how you possibly thought anyone would be interested in watching the film. I could see if you were pitching something like My Dinner with the Grand Nagus, but I still remember the film and I did like it. Let's switch to DS9. Wondering, the difficulties of, maybe it wasn't so difficult, but working with, large ears and things of that nature. How did it bother you to be wearing these things, and what was the experience like?
Did you hear the question? Is it difficult to be an actor with large ears? Was in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, playing a creature called a Ferengi, and wore an enormous head, which, well, I know some people may think it's very easy to be an actor, but there are long, I mean, it is actually work in certain ways. There are very long hours, and usually the day of a TV show or movie is 12 hours, and as it took 3 hours to put on the makeup and an hour to take it off, that was like 16 hours, because we had to get there before, to be ready to shoot with the people who looked like human beings, who had a 12-hour day. So wearing an enormous head has some difficulties connected to it. You cannot touch your own face. And strangely, you may not think that you ever do touch your face, but once you become a Ferengi, you'll realize that you do really, and that you itch, and it's a very strange feeling not to be able to touch your head. The other thing is, looking in the mirror, it's very odd. And at first, it was uncanny. After I had done it, I did it once each year for 7 years. And by the 5th or 6th time, I didn't find it strange at all. And I just thought, yeah, that's me. And even now, when I see pictures of that character, I think, oh, he's looking rather handsome. And other pictures, I think, oh, that's not a very flattering shot. Yes, as far as in general, wearing the whole thing, it freed me, really, as an actor. I felt a combination of visible and invisible, and I threw myself into it with a kind of wild enthusiasm, and I think it was one of my better performances or acting jobs, really, because of the crazy makeup.
Excellent. We're going to go over here for our next question.
Hi, I've been a fan of yours for some time, even though I've only seen a few things. But my question deals with when you were on Family Guy. What was it like with voicing Bertram?
I was on the animated show Family Guy. I played, well, first he was a sperm. And then he was born as a baby. And I acted with Seth MacFarlane, who played another baby.
Your character was like Stewie's, that other baby's arch nemesis, his intellectual like rival.
Yeah. And it was, well, it was hilarious. I enjoyed acting with him. He's quite a brilliant, inspired guy, and I don't think I did anything unusual to be a baby. I think I just was me. And people have often told me, oh, my baby looks just like you. So it was easy for me.
Great question. Next up over there, please.
Hi, I was curious to know, how was it working with Andre the Giant on set?
Well, Andre the Giant was a very kind person, to me, certainly. He could be irritable because he had a disability that, to put it mildly, was very noticeable, and everybody that he met commented on it as if it, I mean, some ruder people, let's say, spoke to him, I suppose, as if it was something that had just happened to him that afternoon. And he could be irritable. I mean, looking back on it, much less so than I would be, or than I am. But he was very, very sweet to me. And I was, in that movie, The Princess Bride, I was tied to him with, leather straps in a scene that, for me, was, well, I would never have agreed to do the movie if I had known that
Was Andre Gregory involved in getting you into this movie?
No. Totally different Andre. I was on a very, very small platform at the top of a studio that was 35 feet high. And I find this rather scary. I don't like heights. And I was very, very, very frightened and upset. I had no idea that we would be doing that because I had been assured. I'd asked the wrong question at my audition. I'd said something like, well, we're not really going to the tallest cliffs in the world, are we? And they said, no. So I was totally unprepared to be on this little forklift, tied to Andre. And he was incredibly nice and understood my feelings, and he had a flask of brandy that he offered me. And so, I don't know, I've had a unique experience there. And he was really very, very sweet. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Emily. My question is, you finished King's Quest about 3 years ago. I was wondering how you liked being Manny and what drew you to, want to be in that script and be in a video game when you never even played a video game.
Well, I'm in a video game called King's Quest. Why? What drew me to it? Well, now I'm going to share, and I mean, I hope you can handle this. I'm going to share something with this intimate group of people who have a special interest in show business or entertainment. Let's lay it out there. Yes, some actors are paid very, very well, success. And they are in one movie after another, and they're incredibly well paid for each one. But there are other actors whose career follows a kind of wave-like pattern with good years and bad years, and this can lead sometimes to, how can I put this? In a good year, you have the illusion that it's going to go on forever, so you might do something like borrow money. Not realizing that the next year would be a bad year. And some of us who short, round, some of us are not paid the way you think that we are. And it's a little unpredictable. And as you get older, in some fields, the more seniority that you have, your pay rises. But in the field of acting, surprisingly, as you get older and more experienced, and you know more and more about acting, you're paid less. So when people ask, why did you appear in that film, The Dog and the Pig? Very, very frequently the answer is, they offered it to me, and I was desperate, and I was in debt. And so I did it. I mean, in the case of... And a lot of films have these kind of, how do you describe it? Behind the scenes videos which you could see on airplanes or DVD specials or whatever, and they ask the actor, what drew you to the role of Oswald in The Pig Holder? And the actor, who is being paid by the people who are making the little video, first you see them look a little bit nervous. You see an expression, if you look carefully, an expression of, oh no. And then, many times, they say, well, I found the character of Oswald absolutely fascinating because of his relationship with the pig. He loved the pig and yet he hated the pig.
I found that he had an Uncle Vanya sort of quality to him. It's something internalized. Yes.
Exactly. So anyway, they asked me to be in it, and I do read the scripts, and basically my rule is, if it nauseates me, I won't do it. If it seems to be against my beliefs and my attitude to life, I turn it down. Otherwise, I say yes. And, quite a few things nauseate me. So it's not a meaningless distinction. In my case, the danger would be self-deception, because I do want to do things, and in a way I don't approve of the whole way that I'm a socialist. I don't really believe in the capitalist system and the whole way that we're organized. I think we live in a very unjust world, and certainly in our country, I think it's becoming more and more unjust every day. So there are a lot of scripts where, for example, people with less power are being mocked, or even in my case, not to say that being short is it's not exactly the same as being a despised group, but I don't even like movies where the short guy is bullied for a joke and everybody's supposed to laugh. And I certainly don't like it when the short guy is bullied and then he takes revenge and kicks somebody, because I don't believe in revenge. So there are a lot of things that do nauseate me, but if something doesn't, I'm delighted to do it. And I've never played a video game, and I would love to learn how. And I've enjoyed meeting the people who like that game. Great.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Heather. I was unaware of your work as a sperm, and later, maybe setting that aside, I think of you as more of a film actor than a TV actor, and I was curious if you could tell us the story of how you ended up being cast on Deep Space Nine, although maybe it's kind of the same as your last answer. And the second part of that question is just if you came to the show as someone who was already interested in Star Trek, the original series or Next Generation, or whether you had a sort of engagement with this world, or whether you just sort of parachuted in and did your thing and then went away.
This is a question about Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Well, I don't have a TV, and I've never had one, so I was not familiar really with any TV programs, except when I would stay in hotels and would flip the channels and look at things. I would always stop at Star Trek because it was so attractive looking. So it had a certain visual charm to it that would always kind of get me. I would watch, 12 seconds of one show and then 10 seconds of another, and then I would hit the Star Trek and think, oh, I enjoyed looking at that. But I had no idea who these people were, what the plot was, so I arrived completely, I was just asked, they offered me the part, I didn't try out for it, and the first day, after about 3 hours, a producer came down from upstairs and said, I'd like to have a word with you. And he took me aside and he said, now, Star Trek is serious. It's not supposed to be funny. And I was like, oh my God. I had no idea. And I really was thrown because I didn't know what to do. I was already doing it, and the director, as actors, you listen to the director. He seemed to really be enjoying it. And so then I went to him I said, this guy, an official from upstairs has come and he said this, and the director said, no, I like what you're doing, just keep doing it. And somehow, I think as the show evolved, it was a bunch of funny people doing it, and it became, I think, funnier than the other series, the earlier ones.
It really was more of a comic book, I thought, than anything else. I think we're going to have time, unfortunately, for just one more question. I'm sure we can squeeze one more question in.
Hi. As a person that came from theater and film, what excites you the most about new media like Netflix, YouTube, podcasts, things like that?
Now, say that again more slowly.
As somebody that came from TV and film and theater, what excites you the most about new media like YouTube, Netflix, etc.?
It's amazing. You are a playwright, and you could just get people together, write a play, put it on, find another just the decrepit old theater, and then have it on YouTube and get 1 million views.
Well, I do, because I don't have a TV, because of Netflix and these streaming services, I get to see, I've never figured out how to see HBO on my computer. I think it's impossible, but if anybody knows, please tell me. But
Mr. Shawn, let me introduce you to the concept of getting your girlfriend's HBO Go code so you can watch it on your phone. And I'll be more than happy to walk you through that anytime.
well, I don't want to see things on my phone. Well, but I do appreciate being able to see Netflix and those other things on my computer. That's fabulous. And of course, in the world I came from, people could only see things once or twice. So it's quite fascinating, and I don't even know how to take it in when people say, oh, I've seen your film 411 times. I don't even know how to process that.
Well, the really cool thing, and I'm gonna end this with the way I open this. If you have not seen Vanya on 42nd Street, right now, if you don't want to waste the $4 on an experiment, you can go on YouTube and you can find clips from the movie. So many times I wound up buying movies or renting movies I'd never really heard of because I simply found this 4-minute clip of something amazing, and I really, really wanted to find out what else was happening in that story.
Yeah, that's
I'm sorry, we really are completely out of time. Thank everybody, please.